The story of Asphalt 8. Airborne began many years before the game was released. It started with the Asphalt racing game series. The Asphalt series was created by Gameloft, a video game company based in France. Gameloft was known for making mobile games that were fun, fast, and easy to play. In the early 2000s, mobile phones were becoming more powerful, and many people wanted to play exciting games on their phones. Gameloft saw this opportunity and began developing racing games that could run on mobile devices. Over time, the Asphalt series became one of the company's most successful franchises. Before Asphalt 8, there were several earlier Asphalt games. Each new game added better graphics, more cars, and improved gameplay. One important game before Asphalt 8 was Asphalt 7, Heat. Asphalt 7 was very popular and had many real licensed cars and beautiful locations. However, Gameloft wanted to make something even bigger and more exciting. They wanted to create a racing game that felt fresh and different from the previous games. They wanted more action, more speed, and more dramatic moments. Around 2012, the developers at Gameloft started planning the next game in the series. They wanted to push mobile gaming to a new level. At that time, smartphones and tablets were becoming stronger. Devices like the iPhone and high-end Android phones had better graphics power. This allowed game developers to create more detailed cars, realistic lighting, and smoother animations. The team decided that the new game would focus heavily on jumps, stunts, and flying through the air. That is why the game later received the name Airborne. The developers wanted Asphalt 8 to feel different from traditional racing games. Instead of focusing only on realistic driving, they wanted players to experience excitement and freedom. They added large ramps to tracks so cars could jump high into the air. They also created a new physics system that allowed cars to spin and flip while jumping. Players could perform barrel rolls and flat spins to earn extra nitro boosts. This idea made the gameplay feel more like an action movie than a normal racing game. Creating these new features was not easy. The development team had to improve the game engine. A game engine is the software that controls how the game works, including graphics, physics, and sound. Gameloft upgraded their internal engine to handle better lighting effects and reflections on cars. They wanted cars to look shiny and realistic. They also worked hard on shadows and environmental details, such as water reflections and sunlight effects. This made the game look very impressive for a mobile title in 2013. Another important part of development was licensing real cars. Gameloft contacted famous car companies to get permission to include their vehicles in the game. This included brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Bugatti. Getting these licenses required negotiations and agreements. Car companies care deeply about how their vehicles are shown in games. Gameloft had to promise that the cars would look accurate and impressive. The team carefully modeled each vehicle to match real-life details, including body shape, headlights, and logos. The game's tracks were also carefully designed. Instead of only using realistic city streets, the developers created dramatic environments. They included tracks with broken roads, giant jumps, and dangerous shortcuts. Locations were inspired by real places, but they were designed to support big air stunts. For example, some tracks had moving obstacles or collapsing structures. The goal was to make every race feel intense and unpredictable. Sound design was another important part of development. The team recorded engine sounds that matched each car's personality. They also selected energetic music tracks to create excitement during races. The music style included electronic and rock songs that matched the fast gameplay. Sound effects, such as crashes and nitro boosts, were made louder and more dramatic to increase the action feeling. During development, the team tested the game many times. Game testers played early versions to find bugs and problems. They checked if cars moved correctly, if jumps worked properly, and if multiplayer mode was stable. Multiplayer was very important because players wanted to race against others online. Gameloft worked to make online races smooth and competitive. This required strong servers and good network coding. Another major decision during development was the business model. Earlier mobile games were often sold for a fixed price. Asphalt 8 was first released as a paid game, but later it became free to play. This change allowed more players to download the game. However, it also meant the game would include in-game purchases. Players could buy cars, upgrades, or in-game currency with real money. This system became a key part of the game's long-term success. The developers also focused on making the game accessible. They added different control options. Players could steer by tilting their device or by using on-screen touch controls. This allowed both casual players and experienced gamers to enjoy the game. The controls were simple, but mastering them required skill, especially during high-speed races and stunts. As release day approached in 2013, excitement grew. Gameloft promoted the game with trailers and previews. The trailers showed cars flying off ramps, spinning in the air, and racing through beautiful environments. Many players were surprised by how advanced the graphics looked for a mobile game. The name of the game was officially announced as Asphalt 8: Airborne. When Asphalt 8 was finally ready, it represented a big step forward for mobile racing games. It combined high-speed arcade action with impressive graphics and licensed cars. The development process showed how much mobile gaming had grown. What started as a simple racing series had now become one of the most ambitious mobile racing games of its time. The beginning of Asphalt 8 was not just about creating another sequel. It was about changing the direction of the series. By focusing on airborne stunts and dramatic action, Gameloft created a unique identity for the game. This decision helped Asphalt 8 stand out in a crowded mobile market. The strong foundation built during development allowed the game to grow for many years after its release. After many months of planning and development, Asphalt 8: Airborne was finally ready for release. The game was officially launched in August 2013. It was developed and published by Gameloft, which was already known for making strong mobile racing games. At the time of release, mobile gaming was growing very fast. Smartphones were becoming more powerful, and people wanted games that looked and felt like console games. Asphalt 8 arrived at the perfect moment. When the game first launched, it was released for iOS and Android devices. Later, it was also released for Windows devices and PC. This helped the game reach a very wide audience. In the beginning, Asphalt 8 was not free. Players had to pay a small price to download it. Even though it was a paid game, many people were excited and willing to buy it because of the strong reputation of the Asphalt series. The first reactions to Asphalt 8 were very positive. Many players were impressed by the graphics. For a mobile game in 2013, the visuals were amazing. Cars looked shiny and detailed. The lighting effects made races look realistic and dramatic. Reflections on the cars and roads gave the game a high-quality feel. Players felt like they were playing something close to a console racing game on their phone or tablet. Another reason for the early success was the gameplay. Asphalt 8 was fast and exciting. The new airborne stunt system made it different from other racing games. Players could launch their cars off ramps and perform barrel rolls and flat spins in the air. These stunts were not only fun, but also rewarded players with nitro boosts. This made every race feel intense and action-packed. Many players said the game felt like being inside an action movie. The tracks were also a big part of the early success. The game included different locations inspired by real places around the world. Some tracks were set in city environments, while others were set in deserts, mountains, or coastal roads. Each track had shortcuts, jumps, and dangerous curves. Players enjoyed learning the best paths and discovering hidden routes. The variety kept the game fresh and exciting. Asphalt 8 also included many real licensed cars. Brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bugatti, and McLaren were part of the lineup. Having real cars made the game more attractive. Players loved collecting famous supercars and hypercars. Each car had different speed, acceleration, and handling stats. This added strategy to the game. Players had to choose the right car for each race. In the first weeks after release, many gaming websites and reviewers gave Asphalt 8 high ratings. Reviewers praised the graphics, smooth controls, and fun gameplay. They also liked the music and sound effects. The fast soundtrack matched the racing action perfectly. Positive reviews helped the game gain even more attention. One important feature that helped the game grow was multiplayer mode. Players could race against other real players online. This created competition and excitement. Winning against real opponents felt more rewarding than racing against computer-controlled cars. Multiplayer mode also encouraged players to improve their skills and upgrade their cars. As more players joined, the community started to grow. Online forums and social media pages began to fill with discussions about the game. Players shared tips, tricks, and best car setups. Some players recorded gameplay videos and uploaded them online. This helped the game become even more popular. Word of mouth played a big role in the early success. After some time, Gameloft made a major decision. The company changed Asphalt 8 from a paid game to a free-to-play game. This was a very important moment in its history. By becoming free, the game became available to millions more players. Downloads increased quickly. However, the game introduced in-game purchases. Players could buy in-game currency, cars, or upgrades using real money. This new system allowed the game to continue earning revenue while being free to download. The free-to-play model helped Asphalt 8 stay alive for many years. Instead of being a game that people played once and forgot, it became a long-term live service game. Gameloft started releasing regular updates. These updates added new cars, new tracks, and special events. This kept players interested and excited. During its early years, Asphalt 8 reached major download milestones. It achieved millions of downloads across different platforms. This made it one of the most successful mobile racing games of its time. The game was often featured in app stores as a top racing game. Being featured increased visibility and brought even more players. Another reason for early success was accessibility. The controls were easy to understand. New players could start racing quickly without a long tutorial. At the same time, mastering the game required skill. Performing perfect nitro timing and controlled drifts separated beginners from advanced players. This balance made the game enjoyable for both casual and competitive players. Asphalt 8 also benefited from the rapid growth of YouTube and mobile streaming. Many content creators began making racing videos. The dramatic crashes and airborne stunts made great video content. Watching cars fly through the air and crash in slow motion was entertaining. This helped attract new players who saw the game online. Over time, Asphalt 8 became more than just a racing game. It became a global mobile gaming phenomenon. In many countries, it was one of the top racing games in the App Store rankings. Players from different parts of the world competed against each other in multiplayer races. This international player base strengthened the game's reputation. The early success of Asphalt 8 proved that mobile games could deliver high-quality racing experiences. It showed that smartphones were capable of running advanced 3D games with impressive graphics and smooth performance. For many players, Asphalt 8 was the first mobile game that truly felt like a console experience. The strong launch period built a solid foundation for the future. Because the game started so successfully, Gameloft had the confidence to continue investing in updates and improvements. The early years shaped the identity of the game. It became known for speed, stunts, and beautiful cars. Asphalt 8. Airborne became widely known not only for its stunning graphics, but also for its exciting and unique gameplay features. One of the first things players noticed was the freedom to perform stunts and jumps. Unlike many traditional racing games, Asphalt 8 encouraged players to leave the ground. Cars could launch off ramps and perform barrel rolls, flat spins, and other tricks while flying through the air. These stunts were not just for fun. They also rewarded players with nitro boosts, which allowed cars to speed up dramatically. This feature changed the way players approached racing. Instead of only following the track, they had to think about timing jumps and performing tricks to gain advantages. The cars themselves were another major feature that made the game stand out. Asphalt 8 included dozens of real-life licensed cars, from famous brands such as Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bugatti, Porsche, McLaren, and Aston Martin. Each car had different attributes like speed, acceleration, handling, and nitro efficiency. This made choosing the right car for a race an important strategic decision. Some tracks were better suited for fast cars with high top speed, while others required nimble cars that could handle tight curves and sharp turns. Collecting cars became a goal for many players. Players could earn new cars by completing races, winning events, or purchasing them using in-game currency. The game also had a wide variety of tracks. The developers designed each track to be visually stunning and challenging. Tracks were inspired by real-world locations, but were exaggerated for excitement. For example, players could race through cities with towering skyscrapers, deserts with huge sand dunes, snow-covered mountains, or tropical islands. Each track included shortcuts, ramps, and obstacles. Learning these shortcuts and knowing when to jump or drift became a skill that separated casual players from experts. Over time, the tracks evolved with updates, introducing new environments and new racing challenges to keep the game fresh. Nitro was a central element of the gameplay. Every car had a nitro meter that filled up during races or when performing stunts. Using nitro at the right moment could help a player overtake opponents or recover from mistakes. Later updates introduced special nitro modes, such as Perfect Nitro, which allowed players to hold the boost longer if timed correctly. Mastering nitro timing became a key skill for winning competitive races. Combining nitro with stunts and drifting created a dynamic gameplay loop that kept players engaged. Drifting was another important mechanic. Players could slide their cars around curves to maintain speed and fill their nitro meter. Drifting required timing and skill. Simple steering was not enough to stay ahead in difficult races. Some tracks had long, winding curves where drifting effectively could mean the difference between winning and losing. As players improved, they could chain drifts together to maintain speed and maximize nitro gains. The game offered multiple modes that added variety to gameplay. Career mode allowed players to progress through a series of races, gradually unlocking new cars and tracks. Multiplayer mode let players compete against friends or global opponents. Multiplayer was especially exciting because it tested player skills against real humans instead of computer-controlled opponents. Players could also participate in special events, like time-limited races or tournaments, which often featured rare cars as rewards. These events encouraged players to return regularly and gave the game a live service feeling. Over time, Asphalt 8 introduced additional gameplay features to maintain engagement. One such feature was the inclusion of seasons and updates. Each update could bring new cars, new tracks, or new game mechanics. For example, some updates introduced boats and motorcycles in special racing events, giving players a completely different racing experience. Others added weather effects, such as rain or snow, which affected traction and visibility. These changes required players to adapt their strategies, adding a new layer of complexity and depth. The in-game economy also influenced gameplay. Players earned credits and tokens by completing races, winning events, and performing stunts. Credits could be used to upgrade cars, buy new vehicles, or unlock additional tracks. Upgrades affected speed, acceleration, nitro efficiency, and handling. This system created a sense of progression, as players could feel their cars improving over time. While players could purchase in-game currency with real money, dedicated players could also earn everything through gameplay, which encouraged skill and practice. As the game evolved, the developers paid close attention to player feedback. They adjusted gameplay balance, refined car physics, and added features requested by the community. For instance, controls were made smoother over time, and options were introduced for tilting the device or using touch buttons. This flexibility allowed both casual and hardcore players to enjoy the game. Regular updates also fixed bugs and improved performance, ensuring that the game remained stable on new devices as smartphone technology advanced. One major evolution in gameplay was the focus on multiplayer competition. Gameloft added ranked races where players could compete against others with similar skill levels. Winning these races rewarded players with rare cars, credits, and trophies. Multiplayer also introduced a sense of global competition, allowing players from different countries to challenge each other. Online events encourage collaboration as well, such as forming clubs or teams. This social aspect enhanced long-term engagement and made the game feel alive and competitive. Another interesting aspect of the gameplay evolution was the addition of cinematic effects. High-speed camera angles, motion blur, and dynamic lighting made races more thrilling. When cars performed stunts or crashed spectacularly, the camera would follow the action closely, making the player feel like they were in an action movie. These cinematic touches helped the game stand out and added a sense of immersion not common in mobile racing games of that time. The customization system also grew over time. Players could personalize cars with different colors, body kits, and decals. While customization did not affect performance much, it allowed players to express their style. Seeing unique cars in multiplayer races became part of the fun. Players enjoyed showing off their rare or visually striking cars, which added another layer of community interaction. Asphalt 8's gameplay evolution was marked by balance. The game had to remain fast, exciting, and accessible, while gradually increasing in complexity. Each update or feature had to keep the core racing experience intact while offering new challenges. By continuously adding cars, tracks, events, and multiplayer systems, Gameloft ensured that the game stayed engaging for years. Players could return frequently to find something new to explore or master. Asphalt 8, Airborne's features and gameplay evolution made it more than a standard mobile racing game. The combination of airborne stunts, nitro boosts, drifting, real licensed cars, diverse tracks, multiplayer competition, and regular updates created a rich and dynamic experience. The developers carefully balanced accessibility with skill-based challenges, making it appealing to a wide audience. Over time, the game grew in complexity and variety, maintaining its place as one of the most popular and innovative mobile racing games in the world. After its release in 2013, Asphalt 8, Airborne did not stay the same. Gameloft continuously updated the game to keep it fresh and exciting for players. These updates included new cars, tracks, events, gameplay mechanics, and quality of life improvements. The goal was to make the game feel alive, offering something new to players every few months. Over the years, these updates helped Asphalt 8 maintain its popularity and attract millions of players worldwide. One of the first major updates added new cars. While the original game already included many supercars and hyperarcs, new vehicles kept players interested. Updates introduced cars from brands like Ferrari, McLaren, Bugatti, and Lamborghini, as well as more exotic and rare vehicles. Each new car had unique attributes, encouraging players to experiment with different racing strategies. Some updates also added themed cars, such as special editions inspired by movies, holidays, or racing events. Collecting these cars became a long-term goal for players and added a sense of achievement. Tracks also evolved over time. Original tracks were redesigned in some updates to add more ramps, shortcuts, and challenging turns. New tracks were also introduced, often inspired by real-world locations but exaggerated for excitement. For example, some tracks featured collapsing bridges, moving platforms, or extreme jumps that required precise timing. Seasonal events introduced temporary tracks with unique designs, such as ice-covered roads for winter or desert tracks with sandstorms. This constant evolution made every race feel fresh and encouraged players to keep coming back. Gameloft also focused on expanding multiplayer gameplay. Early on, the game included basic online racing, but later updates introduced ranked races, tournaments, and global leaderboards. Ranked races matched players of similar skill levels to ensure fair competition. Winning these races rewarded players with rare cars, credits, and special rewards. Tournaments allowed players to compete for limited-time prizes, and leaderboards showed top performers from around the world. Multiplayer updates strengthened the competitive side of the game and gave long-term players new goals. Special events became a key feature in Asphalt 8 updates. These events often had unique rules, limited time rewards, and challenging objectives. Some events focused on stunts, requiring players to perform flips and spins to earn points. Others involved completing races under time limits, or with specific car classes. Seasonal events tied to holidays or global celebrations added fun themes, such as Halloween-inspired tracks or Christmas car decorations. These events kept the game dynamic and gave players reasons to log in regularly. Another important evolution was in-game economy and progression systems. Early versions of Asphalt 8 allowed players to earn credits and tokens, but later updates added new ways to progress. Players could earn experience points to unlock cars and upgrades faster. Some updates introduced car skill systems, where vehicles could have minor abilities or boosts that made racing more strategic. This allowed more advanced players to optimize their cars for specific tracks or race types. Gameloft also introduced daily and weekly missions, giving players small rewards for consistent play. Quality of life improvements were part of many updates. Controls were refined, making driving, drifting, and using nitro smoother. Players could choose between different control styles such as tilt, touch, or a combination. Graphics were also improved over time, with better lighting, reflections, and more detailed environments. Older devices received optimizations to keep the game running smoothly, while newer devices benefited from enhanced visual effects. These improvements ensured that both new and veteran players enjoyed the game on a variety of devices. Gameloft occasionally introduced new gameplay mechanics through updates. For example, some updates added motorcycles, boats, or hovercraft for special events. These vehicles had different handling and required new skills. Weather effects like rain, snow, or fog were added to certain tracks, affecting traction and visibility. These mechanics forced players to adapt and brought variety to the racing experience. By adding these new features, Gameloft kept the game from becoming repetitive and challenged even experienced players. Community feedback played a big role in shaping updates. Gamers often shared opinions, suggestions, and bug reports on forums and social media. Gameloft listened and made adjustments based on this feedback. For instance, if a car was too weak or too strong, its stats could be tweaked in an update. If a track had unfair shortcuts or glitches, the developers fixed them. This constant interaction between players and developers created a strong relationship and helped maintain loyalty to the game. One significant change over the years was the expansion of club and team systems. Players could join clubs, collaborate with friends, and compete in club events. Club competitions offered rewards for teamwork, adding a social layer to the game. Players could share strategies, help each other upgrade cars, and participate in exclusive club races. This feature encouraged social engagement and fostered a sense of community. Another major update trend involved seasonal content. Gameloft often aligned updates with global events or holidays. For example, special Christmas, Halloween, or summer-themed content would appear for a limited time. This content could include cars, tracks, events, or decorative items. Seasonal updates kept the game visually interesting and provided temporary challenges that motivated players to participate regularly. Over time, the game's online infrastructure improved. Early multiplayer races sometimes experienced lag or disconnections, but updates strengthened server stability. Gameloft added features like matchmaking, so players of similar skill levels raced together, and improved the ranking system to reward consistent performance. These updates made online racing more reliable and competitive. The balance between free-to-play players and paying players was also refined through updates. Early free-to-play mechanics allowed players to purchase cars and upgrades using real money. Over time, Gameloft adjusted rewards, prices, and progression to ensure that non-paying players could still enjoy the game and remain competitive. This balance was crucial for keeping the game fair and enjoyable for all users. Graphical updates were another important aspect. Asphalt 8 received improvements to textures, lighting, reflections, and effects. Explosions, crashes, and nitro trails became more dramatic. Some updates even introduced cinematic camera angles for jumps and crashes, making races feel like high-speed action movies. These graphical enhancements reinforced the game's arcade-style racing identity. Asphalt 8 Airborne was not just a game. It became a social and cultural phenomenon in the mobile gaming world. From the moment it was released, it attracted millions of players worldwide. Players were drawn not only to the fast racing and dramatic stunts, but also to the competitive and social aspects of the game. Multiplayer racing, clubs, online events, and leaderboards gave players a sense of belonging and purpose. The community around Asphalt 8 grew quickly, and it became a major factor in the game's continued success. The online multiplayer system was central to building this community. Players could race against friends or strangers from around the world in real time. Multiplayer races were fast and intense, requiring skill, timing, and knowledge of each track. Winning a multiplayer race gave a feeling of accomplishment because it meant a player had beaten a real human opponent. Many players spent hours practicing tracks, perfecting drifts, timing nitro boosts, and learning shortcuts to gain an edge over others. This competitive environment encouraged dedication and long-term engagement. Clubs and social systems added another layer to the community. Players could form or join clubs with friends or like-minded racers. Clubs created opportunities for teamwork and collaboration, as members could participate in club-exclusive races and events. These events often offered special rewards and allowed clubs to compete on global leaderboards. Players could discuss strategies, share tips for car upgrades, or coordinate for tournaments. The club system created friendships and connections that went beyond simple racing. For many, the social aspect was as important as the gameplay itself. The community also thrived outside the game. Many players created forums, social media groups, and video channels dedicated to Asphalt 8. On platforms like YouTube, Twitch, and other streaming services, content creators uploaded gameplay videos, tutorials, and tips. These videos often showcased incredible stunts, perfect nitro usage, and exciting multiplayer battles. Watching others play inspired new players and encouraged existing players to improve their skills. The combination of gameplay and social sharing created a feedback loop that helped grow the community. Sports and competitive racing became an important part of the player impact. Gameloft occasionally organized official tournaments and competitions for top players. These events were highly competitive, often requiring precise control and deep knowledge of each car and track. Players competed for rare cars, in-game currency, and global recognition. Some local and online communities even created unofficial competitions, further fostering the competitive scene. Esports in Asphalt 8 showed that mobile racing could be taken seriously as a competitive discipline, not just casual entertainment. Player impact extended to gameplay evolution as well. Gameloft often listened to the community to make changes, add new features, and improve balance. For example, if players complained that a car was too weak or too powerful, developers adjusted its stats in an update. Player feedback also influenced track design, event structure, and control options. This close relationship between developers and the community helped maintain trust and loyalty. Players felt that their voices mattered, which strengthened long-term engagement. The community also played a role in shaping the game's culture. Players created their own slang, memes, and strategies. For example, tips for performing perfect stunts or mastering tricky tracks became widely shared knowledge. This culture fostered a sense of belonging and identity among players. Some players became well known within the community for their skills, rare cars, or entertaining videos. These personalities helped inspire other players and created a competitive but friendly environment. In addition to competitive play, casual players had a significant impact. Not everyone played for trophies or rankings. Many played for fun, enjoying the thrill of stunts, exploring tracks, and collecting cars. Casual players contributed to the overall popularity by downloading the game, participating in seasonal events, and sharing content online. Their engagement helped sustain a large and active player base. The combination of casual and competitive players created a balanced community where different types of gamers could enjoy the game. As the community grew, Gameloft introduced systems to encourage long-term engagement. Daily missions, weekly challenges, and seasonal events gave players reasons to log in regularly. Special events often offered unique cars, skins, or rare rewards. Players would strategize to complete events efficiently, sometimes collaborating with club members or watching guides online. These systems strengthened the social and competitive aspects while also rewarding dedication. The global reach of Asphalt 8 amplified its impact. Players from many countries raced together, shared strategies, and competed in multiplayer events. This international presence helped create a diverse community. Players could see how others approached races in different regions, often learning new techniques or discovering rare cars. Global leaderboards provided recognition to top players, creating a sense of prestige and accomplishment. Player impact was also visible in the game's lasting popularity. Even years after release, Asphalt 8 maintained millions of active players. Updates, events, and seasonal content kept the game relevant, but the community's enthusiasm drove its longevity. Players continued to create content, discuss strategies, and participate in online events, ensuring that the game remained lively and competitive. The community became a self-sustaining ecosystem that supported the game's evolution. The combination of multiplayer competition, social interaction, content creation, and esports made Asphalt 8 more than a racing game. It became a platform where players could connect, compete, and express themselves. Gameloft's responsiveness to community feedback further strengthened this bond, creating a collaborative environment between developers and players. This relationship shaped the game's direction and contributed to its long-term success. Asphalt 8. Airborne left a very strong legacy in the world of mobile racing games. When it was released in 2013 by Gameloft, it changed how people viewed mobile racing. Before Asphalt 8, many mobile racing games were simple and limited. They had basic graphics, fewer cars, and less exciting gameplay. Asphalt 8 proved that a mobile device could run a fast, beautiful, and action-packed racing game that felt close to a console experience. This achievement gave the game a special place in mobile gaming history. One of the biggest parts of its legacy was its focus on arcade-style racing. Asphalt 8 did not try to be a realistic simulation like console racing games. Instead, it focused on speed, stunts, and fun. The airborne jumps, barrel rolls, and dramatic crashes became its identity. Many later mobile racing games copied this style. Developers saw how much players enjoyed dramatic action and large ramps. As a result, other games began adding more stunts and exaggerated physics. Asphalt 8 showed that fun and excitement could be more important than realism on mobile platforms. Another major part of its influence was its graphics quality. When Asphalt 8 launched, its lighting, reflections, and car models were impressive for a mobile game. Players were surprised by how realistic the cars looked. The detailed environments and smooth animations raised the standard for other developers. After Asphalt 8, players expected higher visual quality from mobile racing games. Competing games had to improve their graphics to match or exceed what Asphalt 8 had achieved. The game also influenced how mobile games were supported over time. Instead of releasing the game and leaving it unchanged, Gameloft continued updating it for many years. New cars, tracks, events, and features were added regularly. This long-term support showed that a mobile game could live for many years if it received consistent updates. Other companies followed this model. Live updates, seasonal events, and regular content drops became more common in mobile gaming because Asphalt 8 proved this strategy could work. The free-to-play model used by Asphalt 8 also had a large impact. At first the game was paid, but later it became free to download with in-game purchases. This change allowed millions more players to try the game. It also showed how mobile racing games could earn money through optional purchases instead of only upfront payment. Many later racing games adopted this business model. While some players had mixed feelings about in-game purchases, the system allowed the game to grow and survive for a long time. Asphalt 8 also helped strengthen the global mobile gaming community. Players from different countries could race together online. Multiplayer competition became one of the game's strongest features. This global interaction helped normalize online competitive play on mobile devices. Before that time, online mobile multiplayer was not always stable or popular. Asphalt 8 demonstrated that smooth, competitive multiplayer racing on mobile was possible. The game also influenced the direction of its own series. After Asphalt 8 became successful, Gameloft developed its sequel, Asphalt 9 Legends. Many ideas from Asphalt 8 carried over into the next game, including arcade-style racing, real licensed cars, and strong multiplayer focus. However, Asphalt 9 introduced new mechanics and improved graphics even further. The success of Asphalt 8 made Asphalt 9 possible. Without the strong foundation and popularity of Asphalt 8, the sequel might not have been as ambitious. Another part of the legacy was its influence on young gamers. For many players, Asphalt 8 was their first serious racing game. It introduced them to car brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bugatti, and McLaren. Some players developed an interest in real cars because of the game. It acted as an introduction to car culture for younger audiences. Seeing and collecting supercars in the game made players curious about the real-world vehicles. The long lifespan of Asphalt 8 also became part of its legacy. While many mobile games fade away after a few years, Asphalt 8 remained active for over a decade. Continuous updates and community engagement kept it alive. This longevity showed that mobile games could have lasting power if supported properly. It also built a strong sense of nostalgia among players who grew up with the game. Many players remember their early multiplayer races, their first unlocked supercar, or their first successful barrel roll. The game's soundtrack and dramatic style also left a mark. The energetic music and cinematic racing moments created memorable experiences. The camera angles during jumps and crashes made players feel like they were inside an action movie. Later, mobile racing games adopted similar cinematic techniques to make gameplay more dramatic and engaging. In addition, Asphalt 8 influenced expectations about car variety in mobile games. At launch and through updates, it included a large number of licensed cars. This wide selection became one of its biggest strengths. Other racing games had to increase their car libraries to compete. Players began expecting frequent new car additions and detailed car models. The idea of collecting rare cars became a central part of mobile racing game design. Another lasting influence was how the game balanced casual and competitive play. Casual players could enjoy simple races and stunts, while competitive players could focus on multiplayer rankings and perfect nitro timing. This balance made the game accessible to a wide audience. Many future mobile games tried to copy this balance to attract both casual and hardcore players. Even years after release, Asphalt 8 is remembered as one of the most important mobile racing games ever made. It helped shape the identity of arcade racing on smartphones. It raised standards for graphics, multiplayer systems, and live service updates. It also showed that mobile games could deliver deep, exciting experiences similar to console titles.